So if you know me or my content at all, you've probably seen me talk about big fumbles in gaming. I've been talking about it for months now, bro. I'll never understand what the hell the people in charge of some of these gaming companies are thinking. But I've never seen a company hit a triple back-to-back consecutive fumble the way EA did with these games, bro. Like, this shit really needs to be studied. EA is a company that's been responsible for creating hundreds of games throughout the years. And everybody hates them. Look, I said they were responsible for creating lots of games. I didn't say the games were good. You see, EA isn't actually involved in the game making process. EA is a publisher. Video game publishers find video game studios or developers and they do business with them. EA will give the gaming studio the money they need to make a game. Then the studio will make the game. Now the problem is, video games take a long ass time to make and they cost a pretty penny too. And like most companies, these big game publishers like EA have specific amounts of money they're supposed to make in each quarter of every year. So a lot of times, they'll rush their developers to push out a game by a certain deadline, even if it's glitchy or just straight up not finished. And sometimes they'll abandon games with huge potential for another game that they think will make them more money, because that's what it's all about for them. Money. Money. They don't give a fuck if the game is good or bad or has content at all. If the motherfuckers at EA or half these gaming publishers could charge you $70 for just the main menu in a game, they would. Some years back when Disney took control of Star Wars, EA is the gaming publisher that Disney personally chose to give Star Wars games to. This meant that for the next X amount of years, EA would be the sole game publisher in charge of all Star Wars games. Fuck. They started off by rebooting one of the best games that Star Wars had to offer, Battlefront. The hype around this game was insane. Classic Battlefront games were some of my favorite games back in the day. Now with modern graphics and gameplay, this shit was a gold mine, bro. They had me ready to turn in my life savings. Y'all know how many hours I have on Galactic Conquest? We don't even gotta talk about it. First gameplay trailer dropped and I remember that shit changed my damn life. The graphics looked unreal. The planets, the combat, the gunplay, like this shit was it, bro. This shit was everything I wanted. But the fucking end of that trailer is something I will never forget.
The walker is exposed. Take it out.
I know it's a scripted trailer, but god damn, the thought of my own gameplay looking that cinematic. I mean shit, this was being worked on by the same people that made Battlefield, and we all know you can't play that game for 5 minutes without having the most movie trailer looking gameplay ever. And then Battlefront finally came out, and it was for sure a game. Look, the gameplay was actually fun as fuck. Gunplay was super dope, each gun felt super good to shoot, maps were satisfying, but my brother in Christ, how the fuck are you about to make a new Battlefront game and not put the Clone Wars in it? But not only that, no story mode? What the fuck? What the fuck? This was a reboot, bro. A reboot, which means you have all the knowledge and resources from the old games. You know what made 2005 Battlefront 2 so good? The amount of content. There was a full story mode, like 10 game modes, ground battles, space battles, and then the rosters for the heroes and villains were thick, bruh. It felt like a slap in the dick that this game had less content than a game from literally a decade ago. They definitely rushed the game a bit too to have it out in time for the Star Wars movie that was coming out, since that shit was being rebooted at the time as well. The game was just a mess at launch, bro. It was in shambles. As time went on, it definitely got a lot better, and honestly, it's still fun to play now, but the lack of content is still insane. The backlash actually forced them to put out the sequel way faster than I thought they would have. But now they had the blueprint. Now they knew exactly what tools and knew exactly what content to add. I mean, they already had that shit, to be honest. They could have literally just remade this game and people would have been happy, but fuck it. With the announcement of Battlefront 2, they promised a full, detailed story mode. They would finally add the Clone Wars era to the game so we could play as the clone troopers and droids. There would be space battles. There was no way they could fuck this up. They fucked it up though. First of all, the story was ass. You would think that any story would be better than no story, and I guess that's sorta true, but this shit was buns.
That shit is a two-pack of ass.
In OG Battlefront 2, you play as a clone trooper going through the Clone Wars as he documents it all. You see him go from a trooper of the Republic to gunning down the Jedi during Order 66 and becoming part of the Empire and destroying the rebels. That shit was so fire! In Battlefront 2, you play as Iden Versio, a high-ranking trooper in the Empire. After the Death Star blows up and the Empire basically loses the war, she's supposed to carry... Boo. Bro, the story had like 4 missions, I swear to God. I wanted to like the story, bro. I really did, but this shit was so cheeks. That's just the beginning. The controversy for this game at launch was bad. These motherfuckers put these loot boxes in the game that you could buy with real life money. In Battlefront 2, they changed how the heroes and villains work. Now, every hero or villain had their own individual progression card that you would level up. Once you leveled it up, it would give you access to new abilities or even upgrade the ones you already had. So if you leveled up your Darth Vader and had all this shit maxed out, then you went into a game and played as Darth Vader, you were gonna be cooking everybody, bro. But the big problem is they put fully maxed out abilities in the loot boxes that you could buy with real money. Abilities that literally affected the whole game. So by doing that, they basically made the game pay to win. What the fuck were they thinking? The controversy was insane. They were getting threats to be sued for trying to introduce kids to gambling. Like, bro, it was bad. So they had to completely reinvent the loot box system. But on top of that, they just never added major characters that people had been begging for. After some time passed from the whole loot box thing, they had started to build up the game's reputation again. They were dragging that shit out the mud, bro. They were updating the game regularly, like weekly type shit. They were adding heroes, villains, all sorts of shit. The player count was steady on the rise. Battlefront was so back. The game felt like it was really starting to enter a peak, and Star Wars in general was low-key thriving. Fallen Order had dropped, and that shit was going crazy. Mandalorian was going absolutely stupid magnupid, and the final season of Clone Wars, bro, oh my god, this was their golden opportunity. People had been begging for them to add Ahsoka and Ventress into the game. Whenever they added a hero into the game, they always had a villain to go alongside them. So Ahsoka and Ventress were the perfect pairing. With all this hype and the final season of the Clone Wars dropping, the show that literally made these two characters popular, it was a golden opportunity. So what'd they do? They put these two roly-poly bitches, these two fucking marbles, this pair of balls into the game, bro. What the hell? Who asked for these, bro? Who asked for these? Everybody was pissed, bro. This shit was the biggest slap in the nuts. And then on top of that, they did that, and then they abandoned the game right after. Dead serious. They added those two and said, fuck it, that's it, we're done. They had no more plans to update the game after adding this pair of nuts. At the height, at the absolute peak of this game's return, they decided to abandon it. They thought this would be a smart business decision. They were going to go work on a much more popular game in their eyes. What game did they abandon Battlefront 2 for, you might ask?
Hey, y'all, come look at this.
Battlefield 2042. The biggest fucking flop of them all. They were so convinced Battlefield was so much bigger than Star Wars that they had their whole Star Wars team abandon the game to work on it. What a great fucking idea that was. If you were gonna drop that game for this one, you could have at least treated this game right. This is one of the worst game launches I've ever seen in my life, bro, on some cyberpunk shit. This game launched with no scoreboard, bro. 2023, an online multiplayer shooter game with no scoreboard. You can't even tell who the hell was winning or losing, bro. Battlefield 5 came out 7 years ago, and it has over double the amount of players that this game has. When people started complaining like, yo, when are y'all gonna fix this game? Where's all the content? What the hell is going on? EA just called the players annoying. They were saying players these days are way too entitled. Wow, players are entitled for wanting a game that actually works. That's crazy. Yeah, bro, I fucking give up on gaming. 3 games fumbled back to back to back. I don't know how they have the money to keep doing this shit, bro. It's so ironic that they're pushing these games out unfinished because they want money, but then they lose out on money because the game was never finished. Then they fire motherfuckers and think people don't want these games anymore because they didn't sell well. It's just an endless loop of motherfuckers with money at the top not understanding or not caring about anything else but money. And that's why gaming is a straight hellhole right now. Anyways, that's my TED Talk. Thanks for the support lately, guys. I really appreciate you. Leave a comment, don't be shy, and I'm gonna catch you guys later this week.
We been steady mob, yeah. Running routes, we mob, yeah. In a whip, we mob, yeah. Money straight capacity. Talking shit gon' cost, yeah.